Welcome, everyone, to Renter Obsessed, a Knock podcast. My name is Courtney Lynn. I'm a senior training specialist here with Knock, and I am substituting for our fabulous Sydney Weber, who is traveling. And I'm really excited, although I'm nervous, to fill her shoes. But this is a training takeover. Normally, this podcast, for all of you who came for all things marketing, we promise we are not going to poo-poo the marketing. We are just taking it a step beyond, like what happens after the marketing. So that's why I have assembled my own crew of, they're better than Avengers, I have to say. They're like not even Avenger crew. They're like the hardcore. Meg, who's on our team in marketing, she coined this phrase that I'm now addicted to. It's the invisible hand. My training people, we're the invisible hand that takes everything that you guys do in marketing and then translates it and coaches the on-site teams to deliver it into a customer experience, if that makes sense. So we're just like if I need to say it any other way, it's I have a lot of drama nerds in here, I know. So it's like you guys do the set design and the programs, and we do all of the directing to the actors who are the leasing agents. So with that being said, no further ado, again, my name's Courtney. I've been in training specifically for probably about the last 10 years of my 20 years in the multifamily universe. My favorite thing that I love about it is just those light bulb moments, but I'm a huge fan of soft skills. I feel like relationship building and, creating a story and making connections is something that's hard to teach, but I love to try. And I've asked this of everyone that I've invited to the panel. So I'm going to start with, and I'm hoping that I get this right, Janice Szymanski D'Suzio.
You got it.
Yes. Just Janice. I call her just Janice. Janice actually attended several of my Knock trainings and we became best friends through Zoom chat. And now we're in real life friends. And she's the director of training and risk management at Weller. And she's been in training technically just a little bit over a year, but she's been in management for like 17 years. And we know that as a manager, you're basically teaching all the time. So she's always had a role in developing people. And that's why her favorite thing to teach is actually leadership development. So that's the first person that I'm welcoming in. I've also got a former colleague. I've got two former colleagues with me today, but the first one that I have with me is Jenny Schulhorn. Formerly Jenny Williams, always in my phone as Jenny Williams, but Jenny Schulhorn, she went and got married. She's the director of learning and development at Birchstone Residential, and she's been in the training world for 6 years. She loves teaching customer experience, which we're going to talk about a lot today. So I'm super excited to have you here, Jenny. Thank you. My other former cohort, Brooke Corderer, she was a marketer, y'all. She's technically also only been in training for a year. However, with her marketing roles, she's also had to teach. And so she's been in both worlds. So we're really excited to have her here today. And she loves teaching sales skills. Cedric Hendricks, also known as Cedric the Entertrainer. Apparently, that's his name, if you guys didn't know. He is the sales and training manager at PRG Real Estate, and he's been doing this, y'all, for 7 years. So he loves going over product knowledge and showing people how to sell and show apartments, which I love, love, love. And then finally, last but not least, my fave over here, Crystal Baez. She's the director of training at RPM Living. Only got her for a short time today, but I'm going to make her share her knowledge. She's been in her role for like 4 years. What do you love teaching, Crystal? I'm going to start right there. What's your favorite thing to teach?
So I mean, I teach it all, but my favorite thing is the people skills.
Okay.
I'm all about the people skills. I feel like if you can do that, everything else is easy peasy once you get that down.
So that's where I'm going to start, team. So we talk a lot on this podcast about different ways to market and attract renters, right? Thus, renter obsessed. So these marketing individuals at all of these companies do all this work to market and sell this image like a brand, right? But then what happens when someone shows up and the people that are working there don't reflect it? So I'd love to hear some feedback and thoughts on how we take that role of translating brand into associate training and setting up for a customer experience. I'm going to start with Jenny on that one, because I know CX, like, that's such a big thing for you.
It is such a big thing for me. It's such a big thing. We're actually looking to hire an entire role around the customer experience. And that's kind of a trendy thing to do right now. Like, a lot of companies are doing it. But it really has to do with the heartbeat behind our organization, and so many out there. I think, I don't want to talk about COVID all day, but I think that COVID really taught us so much about people skills, and coming back into the workplace after COVID, it's so apparent that it's been missing, I think, for a lot of us, and just reteaching the skills that are so basic, like, hey guys, don't forget to stand up and greet someone when they come in your door, because we've been behind computers for 2 years now. So, we're so excited to really hit home on that. And we are still kind of in our baby phases. We're a startup kind of coming out of that. And so for us, and I think for really a lot of people, it's a work in progress, and it's always a work in progress, because we're never going to be perfect, and that's okay. But really, owning like who we are. So we train a lot on our culture. We put people first. That's also a buzzword, but it's one of our core values. And so teaching, how do we put people first? And what does that look like in a practical way? So practically, if you're putting people first, you stand up when people walk through the door. So really training people on what it means to be a team member at our company is the first step, I think, is what do we value? We value people. We value a great experience. We value living up to who we say we are, like authenticity. And authenticity at its core, I think, is just being very real with people, which is super relatable. So like, I'm here to meet you where you are, and I'm here to meet you where you are in your life experience that's bringing you to our community today, and teaching our teams to do the same.
I love that you use that word, authenticity. I don't know if we have any Bachelor Nation folks in here, but I feel like that was like the drinking buzzword, was like authentic, transparent, like drink, right? Authenticity, again, that's kind of hard to teach, right? And when I used to teach leasing and sales skills, I always equated it to dating, because it's part of that like romance of getting people on board. Like, Janice, what about you guys with soft skills and, authenticity, letting your personality show through? Is there a way that you have found to teach that or bring that out in your associates?
So yeah, we focus, I'm with Weller, and we have sort of like 6 words that we have an acronym for, and they aren't silos. They all get interconnected, whether you are a leasing consultant or a property manager or the director of training. These words are what we live by. So I think a lot of those soft skills and those, customer focused things that we do live through those words. So we bring a lot of like it's called our PARS acronym. And these 6 words are a part of literally everything that we do. And that helps us stay focused on taking care of our residents, taking care of our people, because those 2 things do come hand in hand. And if you don't have them as part of your brand, and if you don't build those soft skills within your teams, it's not going to resonate. So even though it is difficult to teach them and to like grow that mentality, if you do it consistently, that's where you start to see, oh, it is working. And it may be slow progress. It's all little baby steps, but as you like make those baby steps forward, it all becomes so much easier.
And Janice, remind me, are you a team of one? Are you one of many?
So I work on what we call the dream team. And it's all of our corporate office departments. But in training, it's me and then my girl, Casey. I think she's actually listening in right now. So she is my training and risk management coordinator. So the 2 of us for 500 employees take care of all of our training needs.
Love it. I mean, because I know I've got, Brooke on here. She's a team of one. Crystal and Jenny, they're both growing their team. Cedric, you're a team of one.
No, we're a team of 4 now.
4. Okay.
Great.
Of 4. And so I kind of think about that old school thought of, how we staff our properties, right? Do y'all remember that equation where it's like 1 head count per 100?
Right.
So where are you guys out? Can everyone just kind of sound in? Because not all, let's be honest, not all multifamily companies have education, learning and development, training. A lot of times it gets passed off to different departments, whether it's HR, whether it's operations, et cetera, right? So I'm just going to go around and tell me, like, how many units or how many employees do you have? And then how many trainers do you have? So Cedric, you said you have 4. How big is your company?
We have a little over 452 employees, I believe, over 10,000 units. And
Okay.
so we actually have myself, sales and training manager, a training director, a sales and training specialist, and we added a floating manager on our team to assist with just any type of manager that are out on leave.
Nice.
And so that makes our 4.
Okay, so you're kind of matching multifamily. You got 1 per 100.
Pretty much.
Give or take 1 per 100 employees versus 100 units. What about you, Crystal? Because I know you're growing, you just grew your team.
Yeah, and we're still in the process of growing. It's the open position. Sorry for the, shout out. But so under learning and development, we're actually separated into 2 teams. So the training team, there's going to be 9 of us once I fill the final positions that I have. And then we have a separate section of us, which is what we kind of call our boots on the ground. And that is our performance team, and they are a team of 7. So we broke it out into 2 teams. That way we have the general expectations that we facilitate, the introduction, the onboarding, and then we broke out to that second piece of performance where they become the boots on the ground that do the implementation of the knowledge that we've given our employees.
Nice. What about you, Jenny?
We're pretty close. So we are, I currently have 2 Entrata specialists on my team. But like we talked about a little bit earlier, we are growing. I'm growing my team by quite a lot. So we have 250 employees right now, but we're hoping to like double in the next year. So we're just slotting for that growth, which I love. So my company really has prioritized from the start. I was employee number 4 here as the director of learning and development. So luckily my boss is all about training. So I'm bulking up the team. Yeah.
Nice. That's a great investment. And Janice, how big are you guys?
Yeah, so we've got about 500 employees. So between Casey and I, we take care of about, training pretty much everybody across 500 employees. And we've got probably right now, we're close to probably about 18,000 doors. But the same sort of thing, we've got a lot of projected growth. So we're hoping to continue to grow our team.
Nice. And Brooke, what about you guys? You're on mute. It always happens once. It's okay.
Hello. Hi, Courtney. Good to see you. Thanks for having me. I really like the gloves are reminding me of Mickey Mouse, by the way. You've just waved them occasionally throughout the call so far. Yep. So we just get like just moments of them.
It's a glimpse. It's a glimpse.
I am actually on our marketing team, which has grown. When I first started in this role, I actually do the role that Courtney started as. So I am filling big shoes to fill. Big shoes. So this year,
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah,
I will take that. I love it.
I've wanted this position ever since I started at the company. I started with watching you have the position, and I Courtney mentioned earlier, I was on the marketing side. And so now I just kind of watched the training position over the years and filled in if there was ever any gaps. But I've watched and just, done a little bit here and there. And then I just really got excited about it. And it's the best part of all of it. It really is. It's that people component that I
remember when you were like interviewing for it and you were really determined. And so, when you think about that transition and the roles that you've had, because you also did a lot of teaching in your marketing roles, right?
Absolutely.
Where do you find the connect, especially when it comes to now and through COVID? I know Jenny talked a little bit about COVID with beyond, we started with people skills a little bit and UX, we're going to come back to it, but also what I now do full time, like what about the technology part? remember we have like how many different systems that we each work in at each of our respective companies, right? And especially from a marketing standpoint, I know handled a lot of that. So where do you pull from? How much do you handle on your own when it comes to teaching technology, or do you rely on partners like us to do that for you?
Oh, absolutely. I've been more focused on our soft skills and the behaviors that make up our KPIs. We implemented KPIs 2 years ago now, and they have just been an absolute game changer. We use Tableau for our dashboard, and we do rankings with all of our leasing professionals. And then we do coaching sessions to make sure that we hone in on those behaviors that make up those KPIs. But those KPIs, hats off to our amazing IT team. I mean, we've come, Courtney, you used to have this position, and now this position is awesome. This our KPI dashboard is, you would just absolutely just love it. It's amazing, and our IT team has put that all together. And so then we have those coaching sessions that not only we're talking about the technology and how to use it, but then we transition right away into those behaviors and how we can coach to those behaviors.
I love it. We've got somebody who joined who I'm really excited, Katie Kane, who has been a frequent guest on this podcast, and she's here. She's the customer experience and training manager for Hills Properties, and she's got nearly 5 years now of experience in that world. Thanks for joining, Katie. And I hate to throw you right in, but that's what I'm going to do, because guess what? Sydney's not here and I'm in charge, y'all. So this is what's happening today. So kind of piggybacking off of what I started with Brooke, with like the technology piece and all of the things that we're trying to educate our teams on, right? We're kind of marketers in our own sense, but we're just marketing to like the on-site people when we're in the training space, right? Like we're marketing ourselves, we're marketing whatever we're trying to teach. How do you do that? What are the methods that you're currently using at Hills to engage your associates and deliver content?
So with us, it's all about consistency and repetition. I love to teach our core values and our leadership expectations. Over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, we've really refocused and put a big emphasis on, who we are and what we do as a company. Every single one of our associates is an extension of our brand, and just making sure that everyone knows what that represents in terms of like a customer experience and a product, and everything that Hills kind of stands for is just one of those things that really resonates, and it starts almost instantly. So as part of our onboarding process, we have onboarding sponsors. And the goal of the onboarding sponsor is to welcome them into our culture and kind of give them that built-in buddy that is going to, help them understand like what they're going to get and the friends they're going to make, and the expectations that they can have when it comes to Hills and who we are and what we do in serving, our residents as well as the communities that we operate in.
I love that. And I've heard a couple of people talk about, who we are as a company and just core values and some of those things. And we know right now it's a challenging market to get people hired, and more importantly, to retain them, because there's always someone out there with like the next best offer. Cedric, we talked about, I know you do a pretty extensive onboarding process for your teams when you get new properties or you have new team members. How much do you feel like training has an impact on your employee retention at your company?
I think it does a lot. I mean, being that sometimes we get a lot of brand new employees that are new to the business, and they're like, wow, this is great. And so, getting them acclimated, teaching them something new, allowing them to learn, the new business. They felt like, okay, well, I don't get on the job, hands-on, on the job training a lot. So this is the on that job training is actually new. So basically I fly to them. So whenever we hire someone new, I'm flying. I'm in the air 90% of the time. So I go there, spend a week with them, get them acclimated. I'm all big about first impressions with our customers. So we want to make sure first impressions is also embedded in them. And then we start out working with the free stuff, smile, friendly attitude, being approachable, all those things which are free. We don't have to teach those. We got to tell them, just mention those. So if your first impression is not good, and if you're not smiling, that's gone already. So to teach them to be available, to learn our product, to learn the product knowledge, to learn the system, it's fun. And so we get people that stay. We have so many people that in my 7 years that I've trained that have been promoted, to managers, assistant managers, and leasing specialists that are still here, that are going on 7 and 8 years along behind me.
Anyone else to that point? I mean, onboarding is a huge part, right? Like we've got some continuing stuff, but it's usually like what happens in the beginning.
So if you don't mind, I'll jump on in. I was actually a little bit late today because I was hosting what we call Showtime. So it is a 2-day marketing and sales training course for all of our new hires. And it kind of covers everything from why we do what we do and expectations and closing percentages and telephone performance analysis. In my room or my class today, I had new associates in terms of leasing consultants, but I also had people who've been in the corporate office for 5 years because they wanted to learn more about what we do on site, and they wanted to better themselves and be able to help our associates. So just knowing that there's that kind of dedication within our company also just kind of speaks volumes in terms of they're learning so they can also help teach and train.
I love that. That's awesome. Does anyone else have like something that they make sure that they throw in? Crystal, I see you ready to come in.
Yeah. So the technology piece, I feel like, is always interesting because it's a theme, right? And Meg, you might be happy about this because with us, we work hand in hand with marketing to make sure that our people have actually seen the marketing content that our team is putting out. So we have an internal marketing team. But we tell people, if your customers are coming in and they're expecting an experience or talking about an experience that they saw that drove them in, you have no idea what you're talking about. The first thing they're going to think is what we all think when we go somewhere. I mean, is this the right person I should be talking to? So we remind people, we can do all the things on the back end, trainers, marketing, our accountants, we're like the wizards behind the curtain. And the first thing I tell them is, hey, I want you guys to remember, you guys are our PM. Nobody knows I exist outside of this company. So when people think about our company, they don't think about me. They think about you.
Invisible hand, Meg. Look, nobody even knows she exists, and she's so important.
And so I tell them, you need to be our PM, not me, not Yardy, not onsite. Those are the things. Those are our things. So you need to be the piece of technology for our people that are coming in the door. And then now comes the part of us bringing in the technology that our people are using every day. We all know we've had those employees that have been in the industry 30 years, and they're like, but the way it's been working is fine. And we have those brand new employees that are like, I don't even know what you're talking about because I don't know what this is. So we always start off with the why. Why is this going to make your job better? Why is this going to make you look more like an expert to the customer walking in off the curb? And when we can get them to buy into the why, once we've gotten them to buy into the fact that they're the who, then everything starts to make sense. And my favorite part is, and I'm sure as trainers, you all know, that light bulb moment where you physically see it click within them, and then you're like, yes. And you feel like everything that happened perfectly the way that you didn't imagine it would. And so that's kind of what we always strive for.
Obviously this is a podcast. We all get to see each other. You all did not see how every single training crew member was nodding their heads when they're like, the why, right? Like when it comes to education, the buy-in and getting them to understand why it's going to be valuable to them in their role, in their career, in their development, like that is huge. It's also very challenging. And once again, taking over a marketing podcast where everyone understands why you need marketing, right? People don't always understand why you need training, right? They're like, oh, their manager can just show them how to do it. Janice is like, yeah. And it's a lot on top of everything else I used to do, right? And we have to think about not only how do we deliver content, get them prepared, set them up for success, but then two things, right? How do we make it fun so that they don't hate us? because we've got a lot of different titles here. I shift towards education and learning development because training makes me think of that personal boot camp trainer that I hated like so much, but it's still out there, right? I'm still dealing with the training takeover. But so how do we make it fun? Number one, y'all. And number two, how do we measure the success of training to ensure that, like many of your companies are doing, that they're investing and they're making sure you have enough people to educate your entire teams? So I'll let this one be a free for all because I think everybody was willing to address this because they're two very important things. How do we make it fun and engaging? But more importantly, then on the other side, how do we get people to understand that we're not just the party people that go in and fly all over to have a good time and make people like us? Like we're doing more than that, right?
I'll start out with that. I mean, that goes right into Cedric the Inner Trainer. So it kind of flows in with my name a little bit. So I'm definitely a character. So I love to tell jokes. I like to mix, being serious with a little play, so that sometimes, because I think once you figure out the learning style of the person, then you'll know that, okay, I need to be a little bit goofier with this one. I need to be straightforward with this one. And so regardless of the goofiness of the seriousness, there is room for a joke or two. And so, even though, we might sit down for an hour, but it's time, let's get up and go walk around. Let's stretch a leg. Let's go on a field trip. So we will get up and go somewhere, walk an apartment or do something. But I think I'm a jokester. So there's going to be some jokes that is going to be told, whether it's about the job or about what we're doing. I'm going to make sure we laugh. Laughing is part of what we do. As far as measuring for us, we look at the people that I've trained or we've trained that are still with us. And so just looking at from 2020 to 2020 from now, we've promoted 21 people that are started at leasing up to assistant, senior leasing, property managers, and so that's how I'm kind of graded a little bit of those people that are, promoted. And then I'm still their mentor for like the next 90 days, probably for the next 10 years, but at least however long I'm going to be here. But for the next 90 days, they can call me, Teams me, text me, or whatever. And we go from there. But making it fun and looking at promotions is what I love about, teaching people as well.
I love that. I don't think I've heard that as a true measuring tool before, like the promotions and, the retention, although I think it should be. It's like a lot of times we're just worried about checking boxes, right?
Right.
Or mystery shops, a secret word. And so I love hearing that. I
Even
saw some
that,
other people.
if I
Yeah,
can add
Cedric.
one more thing, we actually changed our mystery shop benchmark from 80 to 90 because they were slaying it. I mean,
Ooh, yes.
which
I
means it's a
love
pat on
that.
our back. We
Raise
were
the
doing it good.
bar. Raise the bar. But that's what education's about. You must have been doing a great job. So you were like, okay, then
It was
do
all
the
those
thing.
jokes, just telling those jokes, they get it.
They get it. I love that. Humor does work. Katie, what about you? I see your hand up.
So with like our showtime, a lot of our associates come in because every single, whether property manager, business manager, leasing consultant had gone through my showtime course. Every time they come in and they're like, when do we talk about the sexy words? And I think like having just that like moment in your class that everyone talks about is like, those are the things that like get people excited. We do mock phone calls and mock touring, and that like gets everyone a little bit uncomfortable because they know they're gonna be put on the spot, but they're like, when do we talk about the sexy words? And all it is it's a section of like, it's, we say community and not complex, and apartment, not unit, and resident, not tenant. But like the fact that we call them the sexy and the not sexy words, like that's what gets them excited. And like,
oh my gosh.
And again, like everyone laughs about it because it's like unexpected.
I love that. Those of you, especially these people in here that have worked with me and even now at Knock, I'm kind of known for throwing in a little ditty. I also recycle them. Jenny, do you remember the walk the wall video? We had for the maintenance teams, like for everyone really, like how you should walk an apartment, because we do it and we spot check, but really you should walk the entire wall. And so I did a little twist on Beyonce, and every time it was like, to the left, keep walking the apartment to the left. Like the whole thing. So I always kind of like find ways to throw music in and pretend like I can sing outside my shower. But I feel like every time I met someone after we released that video, that's all they knew was like, oh, to the left. Like that's how they knew you. And it was hilarious. Who else does some great things to make things fun? Jenny, I know you're fun.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I think there's so many things to do, and there's so many like gimmicks that I think we've all had to kind of do as well, especially virtual training, you know, throwing gift cards in there, keeping it fresh. I think anything that takes people out of the predictable environment is what gets me. So yes, like going for a walk, especially if it's been like a seminar day, right? If they've been in training, like we're going for a walk, hands down, and we're going to talk about things. Maybe we'll throw around like a question ball, or we'll pull out some jokes, cards, or something that just gets them out of their element and makes them kind of think outside the box. So I love doing anything unexpected, absolutely. But I think also kind of demonstrating the way that we hope they are with a customer and the way that we are as a trainer with them, right? So like we want to be the absolute embodiment of everything that we want to see from them on site. So really getting to know them. And I think Cedric's hit on it a little bit, but like catering the training to the learner specifically, because everyone learns differently. And so sometimes I might be like super fun and super bubbly, and sometimes people might hate that, right? So then I'm gonna like reel it in, and we're just gonna like be really comfortable. And I'm gonna give you a nickname, and I'm gonna talk to you like an old friend, but we're not gonna be like too much, right? And sometimes we might sing like, I don't know, whatever you're comfortable with, like really getting to know them. Yeah, well then you can have this relationship too, right? Where the next time that I'm going to call with Cedric, I'm like, okay, I know that Cedric, the inter-trainer, wants to hop in and like build that relationship so that it's something memorable and it's special, and then they're paying attention to me.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, I can't remember if it was Janice or Katie who was talking about like consistency. And I think like that consistency of delivery, but then also the building, right? Like it's no different than how we get people to lease like apartments with customer experience. Like we're basically delivering our own version of, you know, customer experience, but our customers are the associates. And we have to get their back to the why. We get their buy-in. We hit them with a few jokes, right, Cedric? We've got the sexy words. We do it. We sing a little ditty. Like we're just all around performers. And again, back to what Crystal said, she had to jump off, but like we're the invisible hand. Like no one knows that we're there. And correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, but we're also the ones who don't really care about that. I think we didn't get into this industry. We didn't come in to be the flashy forward, nothing against y'all marketers, like in your face, like ta-da. While we have that energy, that is not our why. That's not our motivation. Our motivation are usually light bulbs, promotions, success. I love that people still reach out to me. I will tell you, the person who didn't get to join here, and I'm going to give her a shout out because she's not here, Kathy Wiley. I love you. Congratulations to your son who's graduating from the University of Montana. No, you have a good reason not to be here. She was my very first trainer in multifamily 2 decades ago. Yes, I know. I don't look like or sound like I'm that old, but I am. And so 2 decades ago, Kathy Wiley was my very first trainer with the formerly known Archstone company Archstone. And I remember at that point, at the age of like 24, I was like, I want that girl's job. The same way Brooke was like, I want your job. Like, I want her job. And 10 years later, when I finally got my first official training title, she was the first person I found on LinkedIn to say like, I'm a trainer now. Like I had been doing it, but I didn't have the title. And I felt like I couldn't really reach out to her to say that I had gotten into this space, but I got into it because all throughout my career, I understood the importance of lifting people up, giving people tools, right? What do you guys all feel are the reasons why, if we had to sell ourselves, if we're marketing ourselves, why is training important in multifamily? Why can't we just throw them in? Because we know we try to just do trial by fire. Like, oh yeah, just go follow George. He'll show you what to do, right? Why is training important? Yeah,
I think,
Cedric.
I think it's important to keep it fair, firm, and consistent. So if you're teaching, if you're the trainer, you know you're telling Bob the same thing you told Susan, you told Susan the same thing you told Billy. And then I think this training is all new. You know, I'm old school. Back in the day, you know, we had this big thick manual. You had to read it and figure out, you know, what to do, how to use this, and what to say. There was no fair housing. You said what you wanted to say. You know, so now it's like, okay, let's make sure we say the same stuff. We teach the same information to everyone so that we know that as a trainer, well, I know I covered that. I know I said that. And let me make sure we're all again, consistent and we're doing this, you know, and sharing the same information and still having fun with it, but making our job serious, but having fun so that, again, we can be fair, firm, and consistent at all times.
I'll pop in really quick. I taught a class recently. It was like a 5-series class. And one of the things that we talked about was psychological safety. And I think that's huge for why we do training. Because if your employees, if you're whoever is on your team, if they don't feel confident in their job, if they don't know where to find their resources, if they don't have somebody to go back to ask questions when they feel uncomfortable, they're going to leave. And as trainers, we almost want to work ourselves out of a job. And I know that sounds silly, but I'll explain why I think that way. You want to be able to teach people so well that they love their job and they are so confident in it that the only people that are being replaced at your within your company are the ones that are getting promoted. You want to those are the only people that you need to be reteaching, basically. So if you're doing that well, if you're giving them psychological safety, if you're open and you're honest, you're authentic, you're humble, and you do that through teaching, you've just set the groundwork for literally like working yourself out of a job, which I would be okay with if I knew that like employee retention and engagement was up there.
I love that.
Working yourself out of a job, thinking of it as growing your company so that you're going to have, you know, associates standing next to you helping you do your job. Yeah, exactly. And that with Cedric, the reason that I brought that up was you saying sort of like those 21 promotions, you know, that is probably our best KPI as directors of training, to really see that knowledge has moved from one level to another, from one person to another, and that they've retained it and utilized it well. So I love that you brought that up.
And I love that idea of working yourself out of the job. I always felt that way, even like you said, as a manager, when you teach someone how to do what you do, they're like, but then what is that? Oh my God, then they won't need me. No, it makes you promotable. Like you having someone else who can do what you do means that you can level up. Like that's the whole point of education, is to bring people in. And I do think that sometimes there is this fear in all elements of every job, probably everywhere, but we see it here in multifamily, right? Where like everyone wants to hoard their responsibilities and they don't want anyone else to know how I do this. Like, what is the magic of accounting? Sorry, can't tell you. Like, how do you get so many leases? Sorry, it's a secret, right? No, let's all drink from the same Kool-Aid, pitcher, and let's like delight our customers. Right? Another buzzword, delight, customer experience. Let's delight them, right?
Look, a funny true story. 4 years ago, I trained a girl, and we were there, and I spent the week with her, and she said, "I want your job." And I said, "That's fine." And she said, "I'm going to have your job one day." And I said, "Sure, whatever's clever, do what you got to do." So about 4 months ago, I got promoted from sales and training specialist to sales and training manager. That same girl that said she got my job got promoted from leasing to sales and training manager. She's on my team today, and she said she was going to have it. And I bring that up to her all the time. And she said, "Well, I guess I get your next job too."
Ooh,
and so
coming. I love it. You manifest it. But I think that speaks to, showing, Cedric and everyone that I've invited to there. I know firsthand how engaging and how wonderful all of you are as individuals. And I think that it translates into, you know, your day to day. If we didn't love what we do, we wouldn't obviously still be doing it ourselves. So we do model our love of our work, right, in what we're doing. And to that end, often what I took very seriously as an educator in the multifamily space is exactly what Cedric was talking about. I took very seriously that I was somebody who worked their way up from leasing consultant to this corporate role. And a lot of people see corporate as like scary, like those people you don't want to talk to, you don't want to hear from corporate. And you become this humanized face when you are the person who gets on a plane and comes in, or the person who gets on a one-on-one call to discuss a recent, you know, shop experience or a review online, right? It's uncomfortable, but you get to be the person that brings them into that psychologically safe space that Janice was talking about, to be able to say, this is a teaching moment. This is not a fireable moment. This is a teaching moment. What could we do different? Like, what could we do better? And to that end, I've always, again, this is a podcast, as a woman of color, I've always taken that that responsibility very heavily, because people will often look and see, like, I might be one of the only few people that they see in the corporate office that looks like them or like me, knowing how it is here in the US. And the same thing with that, we've got women, we've got men, and, you know, people of color, like all of those things are very important, the diversity and whatnot. And I feel like our responsibility as trainers are to really emulate all. So I say all that just to say that we're a face, and we are part of our corporate brand that extends out into corporate office. Jenny, I remember when you and I worked for a company together, we were coached on that. We knew that with a company that's based, you know, in California, if I'm the Atlanta training director, that people in Atlanta, I might be the only person from corporate that they ever see, right? And so we are the face and the brand coming to them. And then we're then teaching them how to be the face and the brand to our residents and to our prospects. So with that being said, yeah, this is a marketing podcast. So how do we teach our onsite teams to be the extension of the company or the community brand? How do you guys do that? All the hands are going up, so everyone talk. Go ahead, Brooke.
I have heard core values mentioned a few times on this call already, and how you all coach to your core values. We implemented core values several years ago, and it's been an absolute game changer. You know, and having that responsibility of coaching to our core values is even more important to me now that I have that responsibility, and to really just be trying to live those core values. One of our core values is work smarter, not harder. And so just trying to implement that into, you know, a training process on a system, you know, might be something that we use there, but just constantly using all of our core values anywhere and everywhere we can has made a huge impact. And we've even implemented using those into the behaviors for our KPIs. So it helps all the team members.
I was just going to say that, oh, sorry, Cedric.
No, go ahead. I'll let you go. Ladies first. Ladies first.
My background originally, which is why I've only been a director of training with property management for about a year. I was originally from hospitality. And one of the ways that they implemented how they marketed to their, you know, frontline people who are standing in hotels was everybody had to carry around a card with them, and it had all of their company values inside that card. It was considered part of your uniform. So if they came by for an inspection, that was a part of you. You had that in your pocket every day, just like you had your name tag, like you had your uniform, you know, and it's implementing that daily that really made the difference and made it where everyone in the company was on the same page about what those core values are, so that everyone did have that face. They all had that customer facing mentality by living it literally every day of the job that they were there, whether it was, you know, the maintenance guy or the front office person. And I've implemented that same, you know, tried to implement that same feeling in our company, that you bring those values with you everywhere you go. If you go on break, if you leave, if you're at a resident event, whatever it is, carry it around in your pocket like it's a little card, you know, and it's part of your uniform.
And I guess my answer kind of piggyback off of Janice a little bit. So I mentioned I'm old school, but I'm not going to say I'm old school again, but I'm kind of old school. So I always say, always be closing. So I keep that with my reps that I teach. And so I tell them, hey, keep a few business cards in your pocket or your purses. And so while you're out, listen and pass them out when you hear people saying they're looking for a new home, or they're new in town, or if someone looking for a job, like for referrals. So we're brand new because we're bringing in new people. So far this year, we brought in 16 or 17 referrals, people referring people to come work for us. So not only are our people are bringing in people, for jobs, but they're also passing out their business cards to sister properties and properties. So we're marketing ourselves even, when we're not working, just listening to a conversation and to say, hey, you need a new home. We got a business. Here's my business card. Call me, and I'll send you to my sister property. So I guess we're marketing, all the time, whether it's on the job or for a job. We always be closing.
Courtney is very good at this. I have traveled personally with Courtney. I've got the luxury to do that. And Courtney is marketing everything always. And the best products too. So, and talking to those people every time you meet someone, talking about the best products and where you work and having opportunities.
I feel like you can show that you represent, or you really love your company, and you hopefully represent your brand well when you start to integrate it into your personal life, into your, social media brand, your LinkedIn, your Instagram. You see a lot of successful on-site associates who are able to do that. Obviously, it's something that we probably all train on to, right? Like, it's a responsibility. I mean, don't be representing us if you're not going to really represent us, type thing. But it ties into that, customer experience, because whether it's just on, one site or multiple, they have to believe in it and love it in order to properly, to sell that. Katie, I think you were going to say a little bit about that.
Well, I was going to piggyback off basically what Janice and Brooke both said is, Janice said, carry those core values around with you. Ours are posted in our clubhouses and our offices with our mission statement and our leadership expectation. And then now I can't remember what I was Brooke said, living those core values. So one of our core values is united. And one of the biggest ways that I can show our on-site teams that we're there to help is every time I'm with our teams, I ask them, how can I make your day easier? Or what's one thing that gives you trouble throughout your day? I may not personally be able to fix it, but it's going to be my goal to figure out a way to make your job better. Because ultimately that united aspect of, living those core values is part of our brand. And, by asking the question, it makes me even more approachable, which is something I want them to be approachable with our prospects and our residents, so that they know that our residents can come to them and they know that they can come to me. So it just kind of is this giant snowball effect.
Yeah. I think in general, and definitely you guys were coming to closer to the end of today's podcast, but drop in any questions if you have them for this great panel, especially if you're joining us and you don't have a training department, maybe figuring out how you can convince your C-suite that you do need one. Obviously, coming from one of your partners, not everyone utilizes NOC, but some of you do, and having had the blessed opportunity to share, technical education with your associates. I'm going to do a quick poll, because if you could only choose one that you're providing for your team members directly, right? Like internal, like all of you all are, is it soft skills that we prioritize, or is it the technical skills? We'll go round robin. Everyone take your chance. Brooke, you raised your hand first. Which one's more important? Soft skills, technical skills?
Soft.
I'm seeing a lot of hands go up. Who else? Soft?
Soft.
Everyone's saying soft. Okay, so why? Why soft? Why soft? What did you say, Jenny?
It's our company's choice. That's what I want to know.
Your
Like,
choice,
is
your
it what
choice.
everyone else here wants me to train on, or what I want to train on?
Both? I would say both.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what do you think is most important, though, to the end teams?
So,
Oh, and I'm seeing,
sure.
so we've got someone in the chat, like Alicia saying, unfortunately, RPMs always want to train on tech, whereas they're like soft skills, which is true, which is why I say it's more important to hire the people that can teach the soft skills, because usually the people that have been promoted or the people on site already know the technical skills, or you have amazing partners like Knock who can provide technical training via live webinars, video on demand, as well as our own LMS system. So to me, especially now, come on guys, it's 2022. Yes, we still have some old school folks, as Cedric will say, but the majority of people, usually when I have them in a training with Knock, they're like, oh yeah, this is easy. Like, but they want to know, but what they want to know when I'm teaching Knock skills is, but how do I use this to do my job? So I feel like what I bring to Knock Education is adding that element of, okay, I've been a leasing consultant. Here's how Knock can help you create a good customer experience. You get to text them. You can send emojis. Don't go crazy. One emoji is enough, folks. Don't send like 5. It's too much. It's too much. You have to earn the right to send 5 emojis. Okay. Just want to put that out there. So utilizing those skills and being able to do that, right? So as we wrap up, I just want to go around. Yeah, I'm going to start with you, Cedric, but I want everyone to just share the why is the invisible hand the most important hand? The one behind the glove, y'all. The invisible hand behind the glove. Why are we the most important? Go ahead, Cedric. You might have something else to say. You can say that with it. Okay.
If I can go back to that soft skill question, I feel like soft skills, as we teach people also, fake it till you make it. So some of those soft skills, you might not know it, but you can fake it as if you know it. Technical skills, you really can't really fake it. If you can't do it, you can't do it, but you can fake a smile and you can fake an attitude, but you can't fake.
But don't you think they can see through that, Cedric? I'm not buying that one. I'm gonna throw in a flag. I'm gonna throw a technical on that one. I feel like you can see a fake smile.
Oh, not really. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know how to do it. Show a little teeth every now and then. You gotta know how to do it. But being the gloves behind, I think we just have to make sure that our teams are, that first of all, we got to make sure we got the right people in the right seat, because they got this, immaculate resume, don't mean they can do what we need them to do. So that's number one. So we got to make sure, and then we got to make sure we got teachable people. As a trainer, one of my biggest pet peeves is to get someone that comes from a previous company and then say, this is how we used to do it. You're not there anymore. Let's do it this way. Let's be teachable, be quiet for a second and let us show you something. You might have been doing this for 20 years. However, that's this one thing that we need you to do. And this one thing is going to make you successful. And then from there on, you learn something new. So being in the background definitely would help. Help us communicate, help us bring and train.
Love it. Jenny?
Yeah, so I think that training is kind of the missing piece, right? You can have marketing and that's the strategy and it's the eyes and it's the ears and they're watching everything and making it all beautiful. And if you don't have like a training department or a training plan in place, it tends to fall flat because some people might get it and some people see the marketing and get the marketing or they hear something, but it's just kind of luck, right? So unless you have the training, we're really the ones who sit down and we codify that experience and we say, okay, this is what they want to see. How are we going to get our teams to do that? And so it is, it's totally the invisible hand and like, how can we create exactly what our marketing department and our corporate team wants to see on site? How do we make it happen?
Love it. Love it. Janice? Oh, Brooke, go ahead.
Well, we've introduced emotional intelligence in our sales workshop. Our LMS also has a course focused on emotional intelligence. So we're going to be including it in our onboarding plans. And it's really exciting to learn right alongside other learners about emotional intelligence. I have had a couple learners in that Gen Z group that are already familiar with it because it's being taught now. And so, but the good news is for all our old school folks on the call, the good news is that we have more emotional intelligence with the more experience that we have, where I'd like to say wisdom, we just have wisdom.
Yeah.
So yeah, rolling that out. And really it's all about our customer, right? And their experience. And so Maya Angelou said, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's like the biggest takeaway that I've had with just being in this people role is how we make people feel. And so that's the exciting part about being in as a trainer.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, Jenny and I both, I almost teared up. That's so true. People do remember how you make them feel. And I think that's why I'm team soft skills too, just over technical skills. I'm gonna go to Janice. Janice, what final words?
Sure. I was just going to say that I think trainers and learning and development, it's not set up front, but we are big problem solvers. And that's where I think training, we don't get glorified for that enough, I think. If you're not connected to operations, you're gonna lose out. Operations may look at something and go, okay, this isn't working. I need to take something entirely new and put it there. And training is gonna say, wait a minute, let's look at that. I can help you problem solve. I can find that solution and I can train your people on it. So there's a ton of ROI in training that is just sort of hidden underneath. So I think that's one thing to take away. If you're interested in getting in training, you can totally prove your ROI if you look at what would have happened if training hadn't been there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Katie.
So I don't know if I'm contradicting what you just said or kind of adding to it, but I feel like as trainers, we're great learners. We're always willing to kind of roll with the punches as well. And our industry is changing constantly. And so I feel like, I've had property managers and leasing associates who have been with my company longer than I have. So having the opportunity to go back and train them with the way that we are now doing it compared to how they may have learned it when they originally started and took the original showtime. I think, having that person on your team that's willing to look what's out there and what's changing and resonating with new prospects and residents, and how we're touring and leasing to Gen Z versus the millennials. I think that's kind of what also makes us invaluable.
Amen. I'm with everyone. I'm at the end of the day, when I think about why I attend Renter Obsessed week after week, even though I'm not in a marketing role anymore, is part of that always be learning. So ABL instead of ABC, always be learning. I feel like educators are usually the best students. We absorb, we're sponges. We love to pull from different aspects of our lives to be able to enhance what we're doing. And we take feedback and constructive criticism from our classes and from our, associates when they give it to us to constantly evolve what we're doing. It's not concrete. While it may be consistent, it's clay, it's moldable, right? It's something that constantly evolves with time and whatnot. And I just want to take a moment to thank my amazing training takeover crew. So, everybody who was here, Crystal, Brooke, Cedric, Jenny, Janice, Katie, and big thank you to Sydney for allowing me to take over today. This podcast, it's a regular thing, y'all, if you didn't know. So wherever you listen to your podcast, tell your friends, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell everyone to go there, find Renter Obsessed, like it, and subscribe. I'm not used to saying that. Subscribe, right? And please leave a review. So if you joined today and you're new just because you're supporting one of your people in your universe on today's training takeover, jump on there, drop a review, come back next time. To find me, I'm Courtney, the trainer, the number one on the socials. And yes, Sydney made me get on TikTok. So I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, Courtney the trainer. You can also find me Courtney Marie Lynn on LinkedIn. So we are so excited. And if you find me, I will connect you to all these other people. So if you need to have resources in the training world, this is what networking, this is what community, and this is what we as trainers do. We love being mentors and sponsors and connectors. So thank you again to this entire amazing crew. If you want to join us next week, just find the link and register at knockcrm.com/podcast. Again, my name is Courtney Lynn, and on behalf of Knock, Sydney Weber, and Renter Obsessed, thank you from the invisible hands. Say bye, everybody.